Hello and welcome to This Week in Atheism, which is a panel talk show, moderated discussion. Well, not moderated because we're not moderate. I don't know. I'm your host, Dennis Horvitz. This Week in Atheism is brought to you by the Center for Atheism. If you want to contact us, you can use the information on your screen. The discussions that we have on the show usually are taken from articles that appear in The Focus, which is the email newsletter from the Center for Atheism. So if you, like I said, if you want any information about the Center for Atheism, or if you want to receive The Focus in the mail, by all means use the contact information. I want to introduce my guests, my co-panelists. On my right is Janine, and on my left is Mason. Thank you for joining us, joining me this evening, or this whenever it is you're seeing this. As of this show, many of you are probably aware of the ad campaign that has appeared on buses in England, and it caught on over here, and it has appeared in several cities in the United States. In fact, by the time you see this, more than likely there will have been a bus ad. There will be a bus ad sponsored by New York City Atheists, and which I have some faint knowledge of. In any case, I'm going to start. The title of this article is from a publication by the news blog from the Chicago Tribune called The Seeker, and the person who runs it is a woman by the name of Manya Blackier, or Manya, whatever. In any case, she discusses atheists in Chicago and their bus campaign, and she said that the ads have been cruising between downtown and the city's north and south sides, including the number 56 Milwaukee route. Oh yeah, that route. I remember now. And this has come out in May of 2009, and it's going to be continuing through the month of June. And according to a spokesman for the Indiana American Humanist Association, the intent of the campaign is to stimulate discussion of religion and its place in our society. The actual message on the bus is, you can be good without God. Now, what was the, I forgot now, what was the actual phrasing in the one in London? Is it, there's probably no God, so just relax and enjoy life? Am I getting that right?
One of them, I think, was so be good for goodness sake.
That was, I don't know if that wasn't in the London, I'm looking here, hold on, that was, yeah.
Yeah, Santa.
It was in Washington. Why believe in God?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Just be good for goodness sake. For goodness' sake. Okay.
Punctuation.
I'm an atheist, not a linguist. Any case, what do you think about that? I mean, personally, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. On the good side, well, let me just say, on the plus side, I think it's a good thing because one of the most important functions of, I think, an atheist or a humanist group is, first of all, just to make people, other atheists and humanists, aware that these groups do exist, because amazingly enough, even after all the controversy going on about church and state and evolution, a lot of people who are atheists and or humanists don't know that there are organizations created to stand up for their interests and to help them express their point of view. So on that alone, I think it's the bus campaigns are a good idea.
But, yeah, I'd have to say that's true, because you don't have buildings with a recognizable symbol up at the top that people walking down the street will say, "Oh, here's."
Well, you know, other than American Atheist Headquarters, for instance, which has an atheist symbol. But you're right. I mean, there's just no, well, living in the age that we live in, I think the best way to get in touch with anybody now is through the internet. So anybody who doesn't know, any place where there is an atheist center or a humanist center is going to have an internet, is going to have a website, and people who want to will.
But that's proactive. This actually lands in your lap, which I think is important, because in advertising, the point is to reach people who don't necessarily know they're looking for something.
Right,
Whereas to look it out on the internet means you already have that goal.
right.
And I think this is great, and another reason because I think the presence of a bus campaign, it has a credibility level.
Yes.
Far more, say, than a banner ad or something small in a small newsletter. This is like a serious mainstream advertising, and I think that bumps it up a lot of notches in terms of visibility and credibility.
And I would say that, anytime an atheist group stands out and says something, it's just by the fact that we're atheists, and because of atheism, it's going to be contentious. But I don't think the actual specific message, you can be good without God, or there's probably no God, so relax and enjoy life. I don't think there's anything specific, anything contentious. Well, it's the fact that it's been said that's contentious, I think. That just being an atheist.
The words aren't that provocative.
And I'm trying to, in this one article that I
I love this in the beginning, man created.
In the,
I think that's
well, yes, the
fantastic.
beginning of the article. Again, this article is from a blog called The Seeker from the Chicago Tribune. But the title of the article is "Atheists Roll Out Ad Campaign," and under that, in parentheses, in quotes, it said, "In the beginning, man created God." But this one article that I did download, I also included some of the responses, that the reader's response. And most of it was pretty positive. And I'm trying to find the one, and it may have been over a similar article where someone said, it's the critics kind of adopt the victimization idea, that well, atheist voices are, well, how come it's again, I don't know if it was on here, it was here or not, but on one similar, here it is. Can someone explain to me why 10% of the human race, why 10% of the human race that do not believe in God have the loudest voice?
If only.
Church on every corner.
Yeah, I doubt that.
I
have trouble.
And it's that whole.
If that was true, we'd be 20% instead of 10.
Yeah, that whole victim thing. But again, that's to be expected. And of course, and I've discussed this before. I was at a New York City atheist meeting hosted a couple of weeks ago, and we had someone who was there discussing the origins of atheism, the history of atheism, and it somehow, the question and answer period somehow got around to my saying that it's there's just something about atheists and atheism that pushes that button.
Absolutely.
If we had been an organization of Hindus or Buddhists or something like that, yeah, there would have been people that disagreed, and but there's just something about atheism and atheists, and just the fact of putting out a bus campaign.
Sure, yeah.
It is provocative, and certainly it does. Well, hopefully it'll get that discussion going. But in other shows we have done and will do articles specifically about the separation of church and state, and hopefully this will stimulate that. But there was a group again that posted. I guess the one in Indiana said that you can be good without God. We actually have that article. The Indiana Atheist Bus Campaign is gaining support and momentum. By the way, this is from a student publication called the Indiana Daily Student, and the ads, I guess, came up in South Bend, Indiana, and I guess the Center for Inquiry of Indiana is supporting the Indiana Atheist Bus Campaign because it agrees with the message you can be good without God, and donated $2,000 to the organization. So they have signed a contract with Transpo, which is the public transportation company in South Bend, I guess, and this is interesting. The Indiana Atheist Bus Campaign has an advertisement on Chicago buses that states, "In the beginning, man created God." So that's where the title came from, that other article. And they said they had absolutely no problems getting the advertisements up and running, which is, I don't know. I'm generally, and I have been generally pessimistic all along, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we're turning a corner? I mean, these, New York City atheists.
Oh, I absolutely think it's turning a corner. Just the sheer visibility is.
Yeah, I mean,
unprecedented,
and I think
really,
it's something
so-
like this, like a bus campaign helps to turn the corner.
Oh, I think so.
You know,
I have some mixed feelings about it. I
oh,
suppose.
yeah,
What-
that's right. But you,
One of them is, I think as was mentioned earlier, there is a degree of legitimacy that shows up on, or that accompanies an ad showing up on a bus line, particularly when they're public transport buses. I could see it being confused with a public endorsement one way or another. I realize
Yeah.
it's not crossing that line because you can take out advertising space and it's a separate advertising.
well,
company.
and religion. I mean, there's religious advertising on public.
That's-
I mean,
right,
I think
so-
of every billboard I've ever seen outside of New York with the,
Right.
come find Jesus down the road.
Or I mean, but I know because we're doing the show in New York, and you see religious advertising on in subways and buses, or go to church or come back to Judaism or whatever it is, and I kind of would prefer they had none of it, but it's kind of like I don't know, what is it, a tautology? If they were not allowing any religious advertising in public places, we kind of wouldn't need to have one ourselves, because
Right.
we'd be there, we wouldn't need it. But yeah, it is. Yeah, it is kind of. Like I said, I'd rather not have it. I'd rather not have the necessity for it. Let's put it that way.
And that really wasn't the source of my mixed feelings. The
Right.
mixed feelings are that I think that it accomplishes something very important, which
Right.
is that it's helping to try to get across the message to others that simply because you don't have a belief in a personal deity
Right.
doesn't mean that you're a bad person.
Right, you could be good without God. Right.
The part that gives me some mixed feelings is the perception that people may have when reading this, that would be very similar to our own when we read some sort of a highly religious slogan. The perception that people might have that it's kind of getting in their face, and that's where the mixed feelings come from. At this present time, I think probably the pros outweigh the cons.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the flip side of provocation. I mean, you are in their face, basically. And it's not aggressive, it's not
Yeah, I mean,
sticking flyers into your
yeah,
head
it's-
as you change on the subway. So,
It is in your face, but it's not more in
But
your
yeah,
face than
it's
any-
not invasive
It's
the
just
way some
it
things
seems
are.
more because we're atheists and because
Yeah.
it pushes that button.
and it hasn't been done before.
Here's the reason. Here's one of the and again, I'm more for it than I'm against it. But here's the reason. Here's the reason I kind of hesitate to do that kind of thing, is because there is the tendency to almost look like proselytization. Even though you are stating the obvious, you don't have to be good without
Well, it's
God.
not obvious. It's obvious to us because we're atheists.
Right.
The other,
But it has been suggested, and not by the majority of atheists and organizations of which I'm aware, but of atheist proselytizing. But atheists are kind of accused of being aloof and arrogant and intellectual and all that stuff, and it's usually not true. In my case, it is. The
as
arrogant.
being intellectual and negative.
Well, no,
But we were over those years.
it's maybe not so much an intellectual, but certainly arrogant. But here's the thing. I don't. The idea of proselytizing about atheism is like I don't want to lower myself.
Well,
you
is
know
it
what I mean? It's like-
proselytizing to put an ad up that's basically saying if you're one of us or you're interested in being one of us?
Right, right. No,
try to
no,
find
I
us.
agree, you're right.
It's not. Proselytizing
Right.
is more converting, and I don't think anybody really wants to convert.
No, right.
Otherwise.
I agree. No, I agree with the fact. In fact, you are correct. It's just that I kind of reacting
There I
to
go,
it.
being arrogant and aloof.
You are. You're arrogant but not aloof.
Thank you.
Okay. Everyone is entitled to your opinion. Right,
Absolutely, whether they want it or
Okay,
not.
yeah. But only because that's just a personal take on it.
Yeah.
Not like I said, we should definitely go forward with it. I'm glad that New York is doing it. I'm glad that this is popping up all over the country.
And I think it's great that somebody eventually is going to try to make a court case out of it, which I think is great. I mean, it's freedom of speech.
Right, and even if they do, it'll give us more publicity.
Absolutely.
And, who's it, H.L. Mencken that said something? Was it H.L. Mencken or P.T. Barnum? I think it was H.L. Mencken that said there was no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah.
But if in the first article, it does get the discussion going, that's a good thing. And this has been squashed. I mean, they've tried to, and like I said, they think it compared to what atheists, to the level of vocalization that atheists have had maintained prior to now, it is kind of in your face.
Yeah.
And we have a right to be in your face.
One of the things that can change that, can swing that, is we haven't really talked much about the content of what shows up in the ad. And I think atheism, in and of itself, walks a very tricky line, because the perception of the person that's interacting with you, they can feel one of two things. They can feel either that you're very boldly saying, I don't have a personal God, or they can feel that what you're saying to them is, your God doesn't exist. And those are two very different
But I think all of these,
perceptions.
well, other than the in the beginning man created God, which is, I think, a lot more aggressive, I think the other ones are very much about you can be a good person and you can be a decent person.
It's
and you
kind
don't
of
have
good.
to have a reason to
Yeah.
be. And those, I think, are fine, because I think a lot of people do feel that way.
I was thinking of the one in London in particular that starts off, there's probably no God.
Right.
That's
To
almost
relax and enjoy.
That's almost
Yeah.
timid in a way, though. You know what I mean? Without it doesn't make a statement.
It's more
you know?
agnostic than atheist. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's in a sense it is kind of it is kind of true. It's not. It's a logical. You can't prove there's no God. God is non-falsifiable.
Yeah.
You can't definitively 100% say there's no God. So in a sense, there's
Right,
just
probably
not.
is-
There
right,
probably
right.
is no God,
Right.
but. I think it's much more important to say that you don't need to believe in God to be moral or ethical.
Well, and I think since this is new, it's probably people feeling it out.
Right,
too.
and
every
yeah.
group is coming up with something different.
And like I said,
They're not doing focus groups.
The primary purpose for groups such
Focus
as
groups.
focus groups such as no, but the primary purpose of groups such as New York City Atheists or American Atheists or American Humanists is to let other people like us know that we exist. So if it does that alone,
Right.
that'll be worth it. We've mentioned on this show and on other similar shows many times that the number of religiously unaffiliated in the United States is the fastest growing demographic group of any of all of the others, and it's doubled, I think, in the last 20 years.
But that's never defined consistently, though, which is a problem.
I know. No, but you may be right.
Being sort of statistically minded.
You may be right,
We don't know what the question is.
but assuming that this kind of ad generates enthusiasm, it may get to the point where it may be more definable, if not, strictly definable.
This is absolutely something that if I'd seen before I found this group, which I had to proactively do on the internet, absolutely would have gotten my attention. Absolutely would have been
Right.
like, oh my God, there's other, sorry. Oh dear, there's other
my
people out
Zeus.
there like me.
Oh, my Zeus.
There's
Yeah.
actually a group. They get together. It's very exciting.
That's and that's a funny thing. That would be a great topic for another show, because you said, "Oh my God," and it's kind of a cultural
Yes, absolutely.
thing. It actually takes more work to kind
Stop.
of to try not to
I'm
say
breaking
it.
myself of the habit of saying
Well, that's
bless you
what they
when people
call
sneeze.
ceremonial deism.
Right, ceremonial deism, right, and
Talk about taking the meaning out of words.
right, and how they can.
Once you start thinking about why people say bless you when people sneeze, it's like, could you get a little more superstitious?
Right,
Like, what,
and there's
what is
a
that?
whole tradition, I guess, a European tradition of, which I'm not going to go into because I can't. Well, it's all right. I can't remember what the reason behind bless you and all that stuff is.
Seems like
but-
it would be superstition.
Well, in the sense that it's rooted in religion and belief in a.
That you're
And sometimes it
doing
isn't.
something
I mean,
evil or
some European languages, like Gesundheit, is
Gesundheit.
just,
Oh,
good health.
good health.
That's what I tried to say
Gesundheit.
now.
Right.
Salute days, also to your health.
Right. But, like I said, it would be a great topic for another show, well, again, if you've, and it'll probably be showing up on Google or somewhere at some point, our affiliate group, New York City Atheists, we had a guest several weeks ago, a guy by the name of Daryl Ray, who wrote a book called The God Virus, and he was discussing how everybody uses the language of religion, whether you're an atheist or not. You convey, it's an and it's probably because religion is tied to emotions, and everybody has emotions, and expresses themselves.
A lot of it is cultural.
And cultural.
Yeah. I actually had a debate with a friend of mine who thinks, and we don't have to digress, who when I say that people I know say things like, "Oh, you're in my prayers if your family member's
Right.
ill," and I think that means that you are religious and you do believe in God, because that's praying is an act of faith. And she thinks people just say that as a same thing as in "you're in my thoughts."
As there's something to say.
But to me, I never said "you're in my prayers" because I don't ever pray. So it would be an odd thing to say, but maybe she's right. So.
Here's something to consider. I wonder how many people who actually say that wind up remembering to do it later on.
You said you'd pray for me.
Right, but
Where's my receipt?
I get
Results.
I get in arguments on the internet all the time, and you'll get some fundamentalists who instead of saying I want to slash your throat, or scream that you're going to hell or whatever, will say I'll pray for you. But I'm wondering how many of these people, when they log off their computer, actually start.
Well, they don't say exactly what they pray for.
Right. Who was it?
That you get enlightened.
Oh, he was just in the. Who was it? This fundamentalist idiot. And I say, I say it because he's an idiot. He's the one who actually prayed he prayed for the death of I think it was one of the Barry. All right, I'm forgetting. I'm sorry. I'm having a senior moment. He was a fundamentalist preacher who prayed for the deaths of
Ted Kennedy? Somebody was praying for Ted Kennedy's death.
Sheck.
Barry Sheck, the twin brothers.
Okay, and he's the fundamentalist?
Okay.
All right.
The other one that what's the name? The girl who was dying.
Oh, yes.
Terry Schiavo.
Oh, Terry Schiavo.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you have fundamentalists who have come out and actually prayed for the deaths of atheists or civil rights people or stuff like that. And you would think that if they believe in the God of love, at least they're going to pray that we atheists would be enlightened. And some people, I'm sure, do. But it's interesting.
Hypocrisy is not unknown to the religious.
Yeah.
I thought the
I
irony.
think it's it's a human flaw that you could portray even without having a religious belief if you simply thinking or wishing ill will on someone else. Back to the discussion of cultural influences of religion and language. There's an expression I've always liked, oddly, but it's the one there, but for the grace of God go I, saying that I could find myself in the same circumstances as this poor soul, as this poor person. It's just sheer roll of the dice. I think that's a fantastic expression because it brings some humility.
Is it different from that could be me?
No, it essentially communicates the same thing. Maybe with
if they said,
I don't know. I'm not sure why I find it exceptionally appealing. But
if they but I mean they're but for chance, the roll of the dice go I.
Yeah, it just doesn't have the same poetic ring. And part of that poetic ring is a result of it having been so deeply present in the culture.
Right. Or when
kind of a chicken and egg.
Basically, I think there has been, according to this article, he says anyone has the right to post whatever he or she likes, whether it be atheist or religious, but there's more flack for the billboard of atheist nature than the ones of a religious nature. Well, and as we said before, it's par for the course. I mean, that's more or less.
Wait till the backlash comes
more or
and the
less.
church starts advertising.
Having some good because in this slumping economy, we need to get advertising revenues back up
Right.
to generate interest.
So in our own way, we're making
Our contribution.
Pardon?
We're going to ask for
We'll ask for TARP money, yes. We'll just call ourselves a bank, that's all. The Bank of Atheism? No.
The U of A's already
Well,
taken.
Yeah,
We'll have
yeah,
to take in God,
yeah.
in God we trust off the money.
Right. I was about to utter a witticism, and probably would be my first ever, but according to some. In any case, I don't know. So we're anticipating, I guess it's going to happen in New York, and generally the bus thing is, the bus signs on buses, I think, is a good thing. Even though, I have some misgivings about it, just because, like I said, I kind of wish we didn't have to do it. That's the basic drawback. But it's a good thing that we're doing it. And by the way, I keep forgetting to mention this. If you have any comments about our comments or any questions, any subject you would like to see discussed, in fact, by all means use the information on your screen. If you are not and would like to receive a copy of the Focus, get in touch with us through our email address. We will be having other discussions regarding topical topics. That's so lame. I can't help it.
We'll be back to discuss the backlash of the ads.
Yeah, we'll be back to discuss the
That should be
backlash to the backlash of the backlash. But we're running out of time. I want to thank Janine and Mason for joining me today. You are watching and have been watching This Week in Atheism, which is brought to you by the Center for Atheism. I've been your host, Dennis Horowitz. Please join us next week. Thanks for watching.